So we'll start by looking here at the variables that were given. We are given the power as 1/2 horsepower. We're given the rotational speed at 1750 RPM and the diameter at 1/4 of an inch. Okay? Now, part A in this problem says they want us to find the torque carried by the shaft. So torque is equal to power times 63,000 divided by N. We're given both of those values right up here in the appropriate units, so no conversions or anything. So that's going to be pretty straightforward. We then are going to use that torque in the second part here, which they want us to find the allowable or the maximum torsional shear stress that's developed in that shaft. So once we do that, we're going to use that torque down here. The C is going to be half of the diameter, and the J is going to be based on a solid shaft. Okay? So this looks familiar to us. These look familiar to us, so we just now need to write it in the form so we can get it all on one line in Excel. So starting here, in my cell, I'm going to start with the equal sign, and I'm going to put the power first times 63,000 to take care of that top line, put parentheses around it, and then divide by the rotational speed N. Again, as I look here, my P and my N are both going to be cells that I have in the input area here that I'll reference. Now, using that torque, I'm going to go down here, but before I do need to calculate a J, don't I? So my J in the cell itself is going to come out to be equal to 3.1415 times the diameter to the 4th power. My diameter is 1/4 of an inch, 0.25, and then we're going to raise it to the 4th power. Parentheses for the top line, and then we're going to divide by 32. This is the J then that I'm going to use up here. So here, my cell is going to be equal to the torque from above times my C, that's half of this diameter. So it's going to be D divided by 2. So I need to put that in a parenthesis, so it does the D divided by 2. Parentheses around my top line, divide by J, which is going to be the cell down here. So cell, cell, cell for that one. Okay, now I'm ready to go to Excel to input this. I do have it kind of started already. So you'll notice that I put in at the top here my input variables. So power, speed, and that diameter of the shaft. Units for each, and then what the values were. Now I'm going to put in my outputs, so I'm going to start with my J value here. It's going to be equal, parentheses, 3.1415 for the pi, times 0.25 to the 4th power, parentheses, divided by 32. There's my J. My torque, equal to, parentheses, is going to be the power from up on top times 63,000, closed parentheses, divided by rotational speed. Enter. Okay, and then my allowable shear stress is going to be equal to the torque that I just calculated times diameter divided by 2, parentheses, and then I need to put parentheses around that top line, divided by the J that I calculated above. Enter. And that's my allowable shear stress. Okay? And again, you can kind of pretty things up here, change colors, do the justification, the decimal places as they seem appropriate to kind of make it a little bit nicer to look at. And that's an expectation I have. Don't forget also to put the problem number, a place for your name, so that when you print it out, for instance, you're going to see it there. Now, these assignments, I didn't say this earlier, will be saved on your iDrive because I need to be able to make sure that the values are programmed in. Okay, it's one thing to make a spreadsheet and just put the numbers and then print it out and say, oh, see, it's good. I actually need to go in and I actually change the numbers to values I know it's supposed to be so that I can test to see if your equations are working, okay? So make sure that you save these on your iDrive, and then when you hand in, just make sure you give me your student number so that I can easily go and pick it up off of your iDrive. Okay? Any questions? Yes?
Just wondering on the equation in J, why did you use 0.25 again?
Oh, I said 0.25. I should have referenced, you know what, the diameter above. I apologize. It was the diameter above, which was 1/4 of an inch. So I should have had, that's a good question. I didn't think about it. This, instead of 0.25, should be D from above. So that's a cell designation. So that way you can change that diameter if you wanted to. Because it's 1/4 of an inch, I inadvertently put 0.25 here. That's why I did that. I'm sorry. Thank you for catching that, Caleb. Any other questions? Okay.